Hello everybody to another DevToberfest session. So yeah, first of all, thank you for joining this session. My name is Thomas Ritter, and I'm actually an area product owner in the ABAP Development Tools area. And the topic I will talk about today is the ABAP Development Tools news and roadmap. So let's look at the agenda, what I have in store for you today. So the session is basically divided into three parts. Okay, so we'll first look briefly at what's coming next. So obviously, AI stuff is coming up, which is really exciting. And then also there we have an internal project which I want to also highlight here for you. That's the first part. Then second part, we will look at the community feedback in general. You might remember there was a survey last year we did. Lots of people from the community participated, and I want to present the results and also actually give you, basically show you what kind of impact that survey had on the tooling itself. And then the last part, which is probably the most exciting one, that is actually a lab preview. Okay, so this will be released in the future, but it's actually in addition to the ABAP Development Tools SDK. We call it IDE Actions, and I will show you a demo of that today. And yeah. We're really looking forward also to your feedback on that one. So let's get started with what's coming next. So obviously, Joule integration and in general AI integration into our development tools is a really hot topic. We have been working on this for over a year now. Lots of cool stuff coming. But this session is actually not will not show you any features, will not talk about this because it's so special. We decided to give it a dedicated slot. So feel free to have a look at the Boost Your Coding Efficiency, explore Joule's ABAP developer capabilities. If you are interested in the AI capabilities, I provided a QR code link here for you. And when you watch this session, the other session should already be online. So maybe you want to hop over right now or stay with this session. But yeah, definitely check it out. Super important. Lots of people worked on it. Lots of cool stuff. Okay, but we not only focus on AI. Another big thing we actually are focusing on, and that was also something we basically started last year, is really to have a more in-depth look on end-to-end ABAP cloud developer flows. Okay, and our goal here really is to enhance the end-to-end ABAP cloud development experience, and that is that project really consists of really looking end-to-end, not just also on the ABAP development tools, but also how the ABAP development tools integrate into the whole picture. Integrate with other tools from SAP, and this is really a cross project where a lot of different teams, also from different organizations, now work together. And I will give you some examples. So we obviously on the ABAP Cloud Developer flows, we have lots of flows. So the first flow actually we decided to focus on is the SAP Fiori app development flow. Okay, so this is what we will, because that's what most people are interested in. Also, actually on the survey last year, we also received lots of comments on that. Hey, can you make these things easier, better, more integrated? So that's also why we started with that one. And once this is finished, we will continue and looking at with more flows. Also, feel free to give us feedback on flows you think we should improve. Okay, so what compromise is actually part of that SAP Fiori app development flow, and really to get you an idea of what we are actually looking at right now is really we are starting even with an ABAP developer who has not installed the tools yet. Okay, so we really start from the flow perspective exactly from the beginning. So installing the tools, logging onto a system, and then we actually end with configuring the Fiori application, which is maybe more an administrative task. Okay, so it's really broad, and we're basically, and you will see changes happening along the flow in the next, like I said, we've already shipped some stuff. You might have already seen this, and there will be more stuff coming along this flow. Today, I want to highlight a couple of things we have already done, but we'll only focus on the development part, basically. So let's zoom in a little bit. And you can see here now, basically, I only look at the middle part, the development flow. And so what did we do there? So one thing which we already shipped was the 2408 BTP ABAP environment release, we shipped an improved UX on the object generators. So usually, for example, starting a new Fiori app, you usually start out, the first step you do is you create the initial skeleton of that app with an object generator. There were lots of things we could improve there. For example, one thing which we added is a brand new preview page, which makes it really easy to see what gets generated, what kind of code gets generated. So you can review that beforehand before it gets then created in your system. So that's, for example, one example, but you will see there's more stuff coming. Okay. So once we have kickstarted our SAP Fiori app development flow with the generator, we now have the initial skeleton. We obviously work on the app itself. So we also looked at all the development objects involved in then developing the final app. And there you will also see this is already a little bit of a preview, because a lot of that stuff will come with upcoming cloud release, so the 2411 release. You will see, might notice a little bit of an improved UX. We actually looked at all the object types end to end, and also made sure that that they're consistent, clean up things which might not be consistent anymore. Also, worked on improving the help documentation, all that kind of stuff. So really, upping the quality of the user experience a little bit. So like I said, this is coming soon. So once you have now, we created the app, we developed it, we finalized the development. Now it's obviously we want to deploy it, right? We really want to deploy it into production. And that's where we in the past had actually a tool gap, and that is basically we are finished with our development in the ABAP Development Tools and ADT. And then we want to hop over into Business Application Studio or Visual Studio Code. Basically, the app which allows you then to deploy actually the Fiori artifacts into the ABAP system. Okay. And previously, you had to actually manually copy the details of the OData service, which the Fiori app consists of, over into the other IDE. And that is obviously, and also that flow was not connected. So if, for example, if you would maybe be new into this kind of development, you basically end with the service binding ADT, and then you maybe ask yourself, like, what's next? So now actually we have a button there, Create Fiori Project, which then once you set up the connection between the different IDEs, will automatically create that bridge, take you over into, for example, the Fiori tools in Visual Studio Code. And then you continue from there. And we will do all the copying of the important data, and we take care of all of that for you. So that's really cool. And this was already shipped. People are already using this. And what's actually interesting is we are also now, so give you a little bit of preview, we're also working now on the way back. Okay. So we also want to give you the chance to go back from Visual Studio into ADT. And for us, this project is, yes, we wanted to fix a specific user experience problem, but this is also a little bit of like a showcase of a technology, that these kind of tool bridges, which we want to apply in other places as well. Okay, so feel free also again to drop me a comment, give some feedback on where you see these tool gaps, where you think like a bridge would really help, and then we can look into this. Okay. And then more on the round-off side, what we've also done now with the 24.8 client, actually, especially in the cloud releases, in the cloud systems where the sub GUI support is not there, you could actually not open an editor for all object types. For example, the business server page application objects, they were not supported. You still would get a pop-up like sub GUI is not supported. This is now solved with the 24.8 release. We have added so what you call a generic editor, which for all the object types which are currently not fully supported in AT, you will at least get a generic editor which shows you basically the basic standard properties of that object. Okay, and that is then really helpful in a lot of situations. So that we already shipped to really round off the edges of that flow. And what's also the case, what has been the case, is that some of the object types actually were only available in sub GUI, and for especially in the Fiori space, like the launchpad space object type, or the page templates. So there also now you can see we already added some of that stuff now also into provided ADT editors for that one, and there are more coming up, more coming in soon, and or are already available, so that we really have all the tool sets in ADT, so you don't have to switch between the sub GUI anymore. Okay, so that's more of an overview. Hopefully you get the idea of what we are trying to achieve here. And you can see we already did a lot of work. And really the main reason why we are wanting to show you this is that you understand like, okay, wow, all these different features are actually connected to a much bigger goal, right? And like I said, you can also contribute to that bigger goal in terms of giving us feedback, you know, showing us where things break. And we can then, you know, look into how we can improve the flow for you. Okay, so on to the next topic, community feedback. So that was really something which is obviously very close to our heart, that topic. We in 2023, we for the very first time since a long time, we actually ran a survey which came up in ADT, so everybody could give their feedback. We had over 1,200 participants, which is amazing. So thanks really to everybody who took the time and gave us some feedback. And then we actually had 600 plus comments, both, you know, people telling us how great everything is, and then obviously also people who told us like, hey, here you can actually improve, and you know, why is this not being supported? And also, you know, people really, you know, also giving good feedback, quality feedback on where we can improve things. So actually I read through all the comments, okay, because we never did this, so I was like, wow. This is really a lot, but for us, it was really important that we look at all of them. So we took them in, and then actually also already started working on incorporating some of the stuff. Overall, actually, the satisfaction rating was really good, was 80% plus. And yeah, thanks a lot for taking the time and providing valuable feedback. And I just don't want to verbally say thank you, but also show you now basically the impact of your feedback, okay? So the goal is, what I want to do now is actually to give you a little feature tour where I showcase basically the most requested features based on the survey, but also other feedback channels, okay? Not everything you see here was part of that survey, but also, you know, we have people, you know, getting in touch with us on social media, or customer influence requests, or, you know, or by email, or give us a call, right? So there are multiple channels. But the goal really here is, you know, and you will see this, I will also show features which maybe are 1 year old, but maybe which not, some people maybe are not being aware of, right? I'm really focusing today, so that the feature set you see now is really a feature set which really basically comes from you. So it's a lot of that feedback basically which you requested, and I will show you basically the most requested community features. Because if the community, a lot of people in the community requested, it's probably very important, and we want to showcase that. And I think that also ties in very nicely with the Devtoberfest. So if you especially watch this now, maybe as a recording, feel free now to hit pause, get your IDE out, upgrade to the latest ADT release and the latest Eclipse release, and then actually you can follow along and play also a little bit around with the features. Otherwise, you know, you can always come back to this presentation, because it's being recorded. Okay. But yeah, so let's go and let's look at some interesting features. So I'm starting with something which has been talked about a long time, and that is actually the overall. I want to start with something about the overall look and feel of Eclipse. Okay, so a lot of you wrote like, "Hey Thomas, Eclipse really doesn't look modern anymore. It doesn't look up to date. It doesn't look nice anymore. It looks really old. And hey, you know, we also want to have this kind of nice looking modern IDE. Okay, so can you do something about it?" And we are totally with you, right? We also saw that you know, if you look at other IDEs, for example, Microsoft Visual Studio, which also has you know, has been around for a long time, for decades now. You see that they always do these kind of visual refreshes every couple of years, okay? And to be fair, Eclipse hasn't had that kind of visual refresh in a long time, right? So we are working very close together with the Eclipse working group, and all the companies saw that happening too, and that's why we all came together, and we are working on basically ensuring that this visual refresh is now happening. And I'm really happy to show you now the first results. That's why also I really recommend you to upgrade to the September release the newest release of the Eclipse IDE, because that has all the new changes. Okay. And so the first thing I want to show you actually is the new theme. So when you look at the different IDEs, for example, Visual Studio, Visual Studio Code, IntelliJ, even Xcode from Apple, you will see that they all look a little bit different. The light theme actually looks a little bit different. Okay, so if you go now into the preferences, you will actually see in the September release that there is a new light theme. Okay, so we created a new light theme. You can already use it. It still has a couple of minor bugs, nothing major. You can perfectly find. Also, I've been using it now for a long time, half a year. Also, while it was in development. And also, you might ask, like, hey, where's the dark theme? There will also be an updated dark theme, but it's not currently available as a preview. Okay, but it's there. So I'm applying this now, and then basically you will see that Eclipse already looks a little different. I will now switch over to a different IDE to show you more stuff. So this is basically a customer version, because I will also show you, like some internal stuff. So I need a newer version, but there also I applied the theme already, so you can see it. So you might ask yourself, like, okay, well, this looks actually kind of nice. What actually did change? What are the big changes? So if you look at all the other IDs, basically we looked at all the other IDs and said, like, okay, how is the current standard of a light theme? And the current standard actually is the basic idea that you focus on the editor. The editor should be the main actor, because, right, this is where all the work happens. So that also means that the editor needs to be the brightest space, basically, in your IDE. So that's why you can see now with the new light theme, previously, if you look at the old Eclipse, everything was white. Everything had a white background. So everything was had the same importance visually for your eyes. Okay. The modern light themes don't do this. Okay. Also, you can look at Finder, Apple Finder, or the Microsoft Teams. You will always see they have this sidebar, and the sidebar is actually a little bit gray, and then the main area is probably white or has a different color. Okay. And so the same we also now apply to Eclipse. So you can see here now the main area is the one which has the white background. And then we call them supporting actors. The views on the sides, they are also now dimmed a little bit. They have this gray background. And that really gives you that focus. Okay. What we also did, we improved the tabs. If you see, they are much more streamlined now, no 3D shading, very flat, this flat classic look, basically. So yeah, give it a try. I think that it's really helpful, and I think also once you see it, you probably don't want to go back. Okay, so I want you, and then obviously this is really a matter of personal taste. If you like the old one, stick with the old one. Okay, all right, that's one thing. But there's actually we did more stuff. So another thing you should try is the tab icons and titles. So when you look at all the other IDEs, they always show the full title. But now have a look actually to my left to the view tabs. You can see here the Project Explorer, actually the text gets cut off, and then it shows the other Relation Explorer also just cut off, right? And all the other IDEs, they don't do this. They always show the full title, and if it doesn't work, they will actually, just show it into like a little submenu. So that way, again, if you really want to use all the space you have, right, you can do this. I really prefer to see the full title because, like I said, all the other ones do it too. It looks just a little bit cleaner. So that's why so let me now apply this. So you can see on the appearance, you can now always show full titles. And if you do this, you will see, now I have the full title for the Project Explorer, and the other view is behind what they call a chevron. It's like a little menu where you can then see, find the other ones. Okay. So again, up to your preferences. And then another thing, if you look again on all the other IDEs, they don't use icons anymore. Okay. Some people really love icons. So nothing wrong with icons, just your personal preference. But also, again, personally, I really like a clean look. Some people call Eclipse a Christmas tree because there's so many icons. So you can also hide the icons. Okay. So I really like that one. But I also know a lot of people who like the icons, and also be aware that if you switch off the icons, you're also switching off maybe a feature in your favorite view, because, for example, the problems view has like this little decorator, which shows you whether there is a problem. Also, the ABAP unit runner will tell you whether ABAP unit has failed. So be aware that you will actually also switch off a feature. For me, that's not a big deal, but maybe you really want these features, okay? And yeah, so let me also show you the chevron so you can see, right? So your views are not, they're just behind this little thing, just like in all the other IDEs. They all have to use the same pattern. Okay, so that's already really cool. But actually, we don't stop that there. So one thing which you also might want to change is and I did this here already, so I actually have to revert this back, is the line spacing. So if you look again, and you can see this is like a theme in this talk, right? At all the other IDEs, they have actually a much bigger line spacing. So, your Eclipse probably looks like this, okay? Very condensed, very compact, very efficient. If you have, like me, work on a laptop, no problem. You might want to have, see a lot of lines of code. But actually, if you have a big monitor, you have more space, you could actually say like, hey, I really want to have this kind of lightweight feeling. So be aware that you can go under text editors and then add the line spacing. And if you use 40%, that's almost the default, for example, of IntelliJ code. So if you use those editors and you haven't changed line spacing and you like that look and feel, you can also configure it in Eclipse. Okay. So you can see now, it just feels a little bit lighter. It breathes more. There's more white space between the lines. So I really prefer that one. Again, personal preference. Okay, so that's basically on the visual side. But I can show you there's also on the technical, on the editor feature side, there's also some progress being made. So one thing also a lot of people complained about was the search and replace dialog, which now has been updated. So if you can see now here, actually there is now a new search and replace overlay, they call it, and it's basically modeled after. It just does everything the old pop-up did, but it just looks more modern. It's more integrated. It's actually what you would expect from a modern IDE. Okay. So you can actually also see now, if I go into the preferences, you can switch this off, okay? But you also, and that's actually something I want to show you, you can also put this at the bottom if you want it. And then, it really feels like almost a little bit like this search and replace, for example, in browsers, where it usually comes up from the bottom or at the top. Okay, so that's there. Again, just update your Eclipse and it works. And then one more thing we did, which you have to switch on. It's not on by default. So go into your preferences, type in sticky, and then basically you will find the sticky scrolling. And that is, sorry, check. So under text editors, oh yeah, sorry. So you will find this here. So there's the setting, enable sticky scrolling. You can play with the count, so I leave it at 4. And if you do that, then actually sticky scrolling was added to VS Code 2 years ago or so. So it's a rather newish editor feature. And what it does is basically it sticks the first line of while you're scrolling based on the indentation of your code. Okay. So you can see this here, I scroll up and now you can see actually the blue public section begins to stick and they go further, and then it gets removed by the other stuff. Okay. And that is actually kind of nice. So, for example, if you have a lot of code, then the method, usually the method is the method statement will actually be stick at the top. So you get this feeling, okay, like where you are. Yeah, so try it out. This is really new. The nice thing about the sticky scrolling is it works everywhere. Okay, so it's not just our class; it also works in simple transformations, in all basically in CDS views, in all text-based editors. Okay, and it's also enabled everywhere by default. Yeah, and again, very probably extremely personal preferences. Okay, so that's from the Eclipse side. So you can see we did a lot of stuff there. Now let me actually move on to the ADT side. So what did we do there? And one thing you already maybe have noticed, and this has been asked for a long, long time, is that it's now possible to put the client into the editor tab. Okay, so this has been like requested a lot. And again, it was also in the survey. And we now have a setting here. You can see system information editor tab. In my ID, it's already switched on. You can see here now there's this checkbox. And if you switch that on, then you see the client information. That's really cool, especially if you're doing work on, maybe work on data on maybe with also in the data previews being shown where the data and the different clients is different, right? So then it's really, really helpful. Then one of the things also you ask us is really to clean up the IDE a little bit. Okay, because just like if you move into a new house, like when we started with ADT, the house was empty, so we put a lot of stuff in there. And sometime at some point, it's like, oh wow, now we have all that stuff. So, and it's not maybe organized in the best way, so we have to start organizing it a little bit differently. So we heard your request also about menus being too long, right? These kind of things, and really maybe cleaning up things a little bit. So we are on this, and I can also give you the first result, and that is actually in the ABAP wizard section. There we actually we had a lot of objects which were all over the place, and we actually went in, put them all in proper categories so that you can now really easily find the objects you're interested in. Okay, this is just again one small example where we where you gave us feedback, so like yeah, we should really clean up stuff. Like I said, visitors first example, but we are looking into more areas as well. Okay, and then another thing which a lot of people asked for was comparing two objects with a different name. Okay, so imagine you're working on a piece of code and you just want to tweak it a little bit, but don't want to change the real class, right? So because you just want to try out something if it actually works, So usually you create a copy, like I'm doing it right now, and now you have a copy. You're doing something, maybe it works, and then you want to put it back, okay? And maybe you change the code in multiple places, and you want to see the difference, So let me add something here, like dummy change, okay? Previously, you could not compare two objects if they have a different name. Okay. Now this is possible. Like I said, this was something also being asked for a long time. And if you go here to compare with each other, this was not previously enabled. Funny thing, actually, we always really liked this in Java. In the Java tooling, they always did this. And we always said, we have to build this as well for ABAP because we also really like to use it. So this is also now available. Okay. And you can see now, this is possible. And that is now really nice. Now you can actually even use the compare view to merge stuff over. Okay, so I could go in here and then edit this editor on the left side. I will not do this today, but this is possible. So it's really easy to take over changes. It's also nice, maybe if you have different system versions and people renamed, they refactored some class names, then it's also really cool that you can do that. This works also across systems. Okay, so if you have one object in one system, then one object in another system works there as well. Okay, so that's that. So we all know how much we love the SE16, and obviously in ADT we have the data preview, and the data preview obviously is also a workhorse. You use that a lot, and we got tons of features. Okay, and I will only highlight tons of feature requests, and I will only highlight a couple of those. Okay, so one is when you have if you have very complicated data sets. Especially in CDS side, now I'm on a database table, but especially in CDS, there was always the problem that queries were not coming back. Okay, so that had multiple problems. So first of all, there was no way of stopping a query. And then also, like I said, some queries never came back, so the data preview actually was not working. And we had to, and some of these changes even led to you actually force killing the ADT instance, which obviously is not something we want. So we worked really heavily on this, and now added this new data preview plus dot option, which allows you basically to already define a query before you open the data preview, right? So okay, the query will not go download the whole system and it will take so long. Okay, so you can go here. So first of all, you can already configure the columns, which is really nice if you have a lot of columns. And then also, I want to show you the data filter. So let me actually now in this data just basically pre-fill, say like, okay, I'm only looking into booking IDs with that value. Okay. And now this is basically my data filter, which is already running once I open the data preview. So let's open this one, and you can see this on the side here. And there's also, I also want to highlight, if you still have something which is quite running for a long, long time, there's also now this little, now it's grayed out because it's finished. You have now a stop button where you can also cancel operations if they're running for too long. That's really nice. Okay. Yeah. So that's that. Then another thing people ask for us is if when you open the data preview, then you can also usually jump to the SQL console, via this button, right? And in some cases, actually, you want to go directly to the SQL console, and this was not possible. Okay, so you always had to go via the data preview and then go via the SQL console. Obviously, that is a little bit cumbersome in some cases. So we also added this option out here. This was also a small thing from social media, actually. So now you can directly start the SQL console, and we hope that you like this. And you can see, actually, also, I want to point that out, also the SQL console has now a cancel operation button, which is really, really important. Okay. And then also one of the things, like, continuously in the last years were always that people said, like, hey, the way used is slower in ADT than in subGUI. Okay. And that had to do something with the facts. So first of all, we can always make the way used faster. So we actually spend a lot of time making the way used faster in general. So also the people in subGUI benefit from that. But also in the subGUI, usually you have a pre-selection, okay? So not all the data sources are being queried. And you didn't have that option in AET. We added this. This also requires a backend change. I have all the also release notes on the slide, and show you in a second. But yeah, so this is now available. Very, very helpful. We already have received the feedback that we're like, oh, thank God it's back. Okay, so we brought it back. Same option as in subGUI, just a little bit modernized. Yeah, so we hope that you like it. This is something which pops up straight away, so you will notice it once it's there in your system. There's nothing to also to configure. This is the standard. Once it's there, it will come up. Okay, and then so this was a lot in the editor side, in the source code editor side. Now actually I also want to show you something in the transports. This was also again requested from customers. So if you have a lot of objects in a transport, this is not an ideal example, but let's say 100 objects, then it would be really nice to be, to get an overview and categorize the objects. So maybe a little bit hidden, but still, once you know it's there, it's there. You can find it easily. We have now this little option to group objects by type. Okay, so you can now group those, and then it becomes much easier, to get an overview. Maybe just look at classes, etc. That was also requested explicitly from you. And then, we all know, maybe we have sometimes also people, you have to review transports. So you want to get some details on these objects, maybe see the short description, who changed it, who created it. Previously, getting to that information, you would have to go by the properties view and probably open the object first, then go to the properties view, and it's just like really cumbersome, not a really nice flow. So we actually added the option to show the properties view straight away, and then also link it to the transport editor. Okay, so you can see here, I use that option. Now at the bottom, I can see the properties of the package. And I also, now when I click on other items in the transport, you can just see the properties, okay? Makes it super easy to browse through the transport, get a feel of who created what, etc. And also review objects. Okay, and then I have one more thing, which is also, I think, should make you excited about the future, and that is new debugger features. A lot of you, but also internally from SAP, say like, hey, ADTs, the debugger is great, but it really lacks features from the subGUI, okay? And there are various reasons why we haven't invested more on this. So I will not go into this, but we always wanted to, okay, but we were not able to. But now actually the time is that we have more time to do this, right? So I'm really happy to show you 2 new features. One is actually backend independent, so you can use it straight away. This is also a preview, okay? The second feature is a preview, will come with the next client in November. But yeah, I will show it to you today. And then also be aware that we are looking now into adding more features. Okay, so for example, there's a compare tool. A lot of people ask for a compare tool, comparing variables. There's also a compare tool already in the works. Can't tell you when this is shipping, but it is in the works. Okay. So yeah, so one thing I want to show you is the new step size adjustment, which was always there in sub GUI and is also now in ADT. Okay, so we are now in the debugger. So let's jump in here, and you can see here now this is a a statement with expressions, with inline expressions, and you can also see there's this for loop, right? So I might want to debug that. So go through the loop. Previously, you would go step into, and you can see it jumped over it. I can't step into. And that is because the step size adjustment is not available, okay, or was not available, I should say, in ADT. Now it's available, okay. If you have the proper backend, and you can now go to the step size and basically press expression. And once you have that, you can see here, yeah, this is how it works, okay. And now you can actually step into, and you can go through it. Okay, and then once you jump, you can also jump back, and then it jumps back to the line. So very simple. So let's go over this one, jump over the statement, and go to the next demo. So this was also something asked from social media. So we are all aware that obviously web development is really, a core part of our developer work, and especially on the website, JSON is really dominating, right? So you will see a lot of JSON stuff in your editor, and JSON, and we had previously what was XML, and we actually had this really nice default view for XML, but it has not been there for JSON. So you ask for it, and now you get it. And it's client and only change, okay? So you can see here right now, this is not fully visible. It's not nicely highlighted. So what you can do now, like I said, you need the new client. It's coming up then in November. You can switch to JSON viewer, and then ta-da, nice highlighting and formatting and everything. And then, it's actually much, much nicer to look at JSON stuff. All right. So that ends my little tour of the features we have added based on your feedback. Like I said, probably some people on this call will be like, wait a sec, you're showing old features. Yes, maybe, but I'm sure that a lot of people have probably not seen them. And also we really want to make this this session community focused, and really show you what kind of impact you have on how the IDE is shaping up. So thanks a lot. Thanks everybody for providing the feedback. I hope you really like what we put in there and how we interpreted your requests. And yeah, otherwise, again, like I said already a lot, give us feedback, and we are here to listen and then react on it. So this is the features I've shown you, and you might want to, and there also I added the information about the backend system and the client release. You need to use them. With the client release, I actually said like, hey, just use the latest ADT client, okay? Then you will get them all. Cool. All right, so this was already a lot, but I have one more. Okay, and this is also really something really cool, and we are really looking forward what you will do with this. Okay, so this is in the area of ABAP Development Tools and SDK. So which an area we haven't talked about in years. And so let's look at the status quo actually. So what's the status quo of the SDK? So first of all, we released this in 2013. Okay. So and it's still out there. You can still use it, but it's over 10 years old now. It consists of ABAP and Java APIs. Okay, so you have the if you look at the parts, it's really a full stack development framework. It has the ADT REST framework APIs in the backend. It has the Eclipse SDK APIs. It has then the ADT APIs. Okay, all then Java based. And it enables you to develop really powerful extensions. Okay, and I know I can honestly say that because we still use the same APIs for building, the core ADT features, right? So basically what you get is also what we get, right? So there's no difference. There's no community APIs, and then there's, core APIs. Obviously we have not released all APIs, but in general it is the same. So you can build basically whatever we want to build. And also, it was really successful. Community created lots of plugins. Some people wrote books on it. So really cool. But with everything, there's always like a but, right? So let's talk about the but. So the but in this case is actually that it requires a lot of developer experience and it really has a steep learning curve, okay? So if you want to create an extension, you have to basically learn Java, right? Maybe you only know ABAP because you're an ABAP developer. But you have to learn Java. Then you have to learn the Eclipse SDK APIs. You have to learn how to build Eclipse, build plugins. Really, a lot of work, a lot of stuff to learn there. And you also then have to learn our SDK as well, right? And then obviously also the backend other parts as well. So it's a lot. It's then very powerful, but it's a lot. And also, like the cost benefit ratio for something really small was always a little bit lacking. Okay, so imagine you really just want to have this one simple menu item, which is something very simple. Getting into it actually would require a lot of upfront investment. Okay, and that's really the gap we saw and the gap we want to close. So that's why we came up with this idea of the IDE action framework. And that is really that we want to offer a framework which allows all ABAP developers to extend the ABAP development tools with simple features. Okay, so it is not as powerful as the current SDK as the other option, and that also will still be there. Okay, so it will not be discontinued. This is just an addition to that SDK. Okay, it's a new part of the SDK. And so you might ask yourself, like, okay, why is this coming up right now? It's because when we, over a year ago, we looked at the AI stuff. We clearly saw, like, hey, first of all, we have to give the ABAP developer community really nice AI tooling, things you expect from things like you expect from Visual Studio Copilot, right? You also want to have that in ABAP, so that's one thing. But the second thing is also we have to ensure that the ABAP community can also build really cool stuff themselves, right? We have to enable you, and that's really important because we know that we can't solve all the problems for you. So we also have to empower you so that you can build, your own custom solution for maybe, team and even on your individual level, right? Maybe just you have a problem, you want to solve it. So we want to empower you with that. Okay. So that's why we want to, really the core mission is to enable all ABAP developers to build AI-based development tools. Okay. And one more sentence regarding this. So the IDE action framework does not require AI. Okay. So it's basically, it enables you to build extensions, and then these extensions can consume, for example, the ABAP AI SDK. Okay, but it runs without AI. And actually, the demo I will show you in a minute shows that it also doesn't use any AI. Okay, so the goal were, it really needs to be very simple to develop. Okay, not just like the current SDK, Then very simple to distribute. So right now with the ADT SDK, you have to somehow get an update site where people can download the plugin, and it's just like a lot more overhead. So in this case, we want to basically the simplest way when you build an ADE action, you will have two objects which you can distribute via ABAP Git. Very simple. And then we really want to have it cost effective. And the IDE actions are so cost effective that they actually you can even use them for one-time stuff. Okay. Where you are like, oh, maybe I want to clean up that code in a very specific way, and I write some ABAP code to do this, and you just run it once and you throw it away, okay? Because you will see it's so easy to use that, it makes that thing happen. And then actually, we actually looked at like what else was really easy to use, and the total, major success for ABAP programs, right? And we really see ABAP programs as the benchmark for ease of consumption, and also really see this as basically our inspiration, okay? Because ABAP programs, like everybody can write ABAP programs, everybody did something cool already with ABAP programs. So we can learn from that. We can learn from the past and apply it to the future, right? So let me show you how we applied it, so that you understand why I'm referring now to ABAP programs. So first of all, in ABAP program, what's the first thing it offers you? Is one selection screen, okay? Where you can have some input, right? And then you do something. We do the same thing. You have an input dialog, but just like in the programs, it's optional. You will see in my version, I don't have an input dialog. And what's also really cool is we will give you options, the technology to even build form-based UIs. So you can actually have input fields, all that stuff, all done purely by ABAP, no Java coding required. And second thing is very, very similar to a report, who has the start of selection, and then you add your coding which you want to execute. We have just one method, just one interface, one method. It's one method. You add your coding, And the power of that method is actually the access it gives you. Because that method, when it's being called, what we're doing when you execute an action is we take the IDE context. So basically everything what's happening in the IDE, the editors, the open editors, the selected code in the IDE, and everything around it. We serialize that, we push it down to our backend, and you can access that stuff from your action. Okay. So the first version of actions, you can basically write actions for any development object. Okay, you can also configure where they appear on which objects. So you can say I write an object in action just for classes. Okay. And then when it runs, you have access basically to the code in the editor, to the dirty changes somebody added, to all that stuff. Okay. Like I said, I will show you in a second. So now you have input, you run your logic, and then you need output, right? And with output, we will definitely have two options. And that is one text output, plain text output. You will see that in a second. And also HTML output, and everybody knows how much you can do with HTML output, so you will get that straight away. And then what we also have is the source change output dialog, which you might know from the quick assists. So basically, you gain access to that one also simply by ABAP, and you will see soon in a minute how this looks like. Okay, and this actually then allows you to execute an action and change the source code in the editor. Okay. So what can you do with this? You can write your own code formatter, but to be honest, now there's ABAP Cleaner, so maybe you don't want to do this, but if you want, you can do it. Okay, you can write your own documentation generator using, for example, large language model. So internally and within SAP, we had people already writing some ABAP doc generators. Very easy to do with an LLM. You can write your own favorites manager. So basically, you execute an action on an object, and it adds that object to a favorite table, and then later you can access this table. And what I will also show you today is you can actually write your own code template manager, or maybe things which just add code where you need it when you want it to. So that's the demo you will see. Now. Okay, so let's go in there and see how this looks like. So this is basically the action, an action implementation. There's also one object which is required for registering then that class. You might say like, oh, how do we actually register this? I will not show you this. This is currently in development. So once it's ready, but it's just one more object, very simple. You just create it and then say like, oh, here's my action class. Okay. So nothing special. And now if you look in here, you will see, as I said on the slide, there's just one run method. And so let's actually run this. So this is doing nothing else. So I am now hitting a shortcut, to run an action. And here then you can see all the actions registered on that object type. So everything registered for classes, which you can run. Okay. And obviously you can give your action a title and a summary so that you can see here. And then you can see actually this is a really simple action. It just creates a pop-up result. It sets the content and then it returns the pop-up result. So let's run this now. So I can select this one and say run. And you can see here, this is what's coming back. Okay. And you can maybe already this excites you, you can see like, wow, 3 lines of code, all ABAP. And I have something integrated in ADT. How cool is that? So let me show you something else. Okay. So now I want to create a real action. This is actually an action I wrote for myself, just for fun, but also because I thought it might be useful. So what I want to do is basically, I want an action which completes the syntax of some statements. Okay, so I want to put in loop, then run my action, and then the whole statement should be filled out. So loop, end loop, all that kind of stuff. And then it should run on different statement types. Okay. So I already prepared that one. So let's go back. Let's actually get rid of this one here. And I have prepared some code. And again, if you look at that, so it's pretty much like one page. And what it basically does is, so we can see now, so what do I need for this? If it runs here. Okay, so let's say I say put loop in here, and now I want to complete that statement. So what I need is I need to know what kind of objects is this action be executed on. So this is this line, right? The trigger object. Then I need to know the line, like what kind of code line is it, triggered on. And you can see the APIs are really easy to understand. Get selected line. Then I also need some positions, not a problem. and then I figure out with the case statement basically on what kind of statement I am. Is it a loop, a do, a method? And then I basically select, oh yeah, fill out that statement. Okay. And then also really, really cool. So sending back basically the result again is basically 3 statements. So I get myself a source change result. I add the code replacement data, like, hey, this is the code I want to add, and then I just return it. Okay. So let's activate this, and then I can show you how it looks like. So now I'm in loop. I go here, I execute it, and you can see now I get my source code change result, and you can see now that the code gets added. Okay. We're also working on something so that you can also say, oh, take over the results straight away. Okay, maybe in some cases you just want to execute the actions, you don't want to have a preview. But I think for this demo also it's nicer to see the preview, so I can see the preview here, I can finish it. Okay, and this is something again. Let me put this side by side. So this is yeah, maybe 50 lines of code. Okay, very easy to write, and you get a full-blown basically statement complete, which works now on all statements. Okay, so you can see works with try. Let's also look at maybe the do. And yeah, so very, very powerful stuff. You can imagine, hopefully in your mind, you go like, wait a sec, if this is now available, I maybe can do X or Y. This is exactly the kind of thinking we want to have from you, okay? And when we showed this also internally, people were like, oh, wow, yeah, this is really cool, and people built really interesting creative solutions with that, And also, for example, it runs on transport as well, so I can show you. So also maybe, yeah, so there. Okay, so this is actually not the right systems, but it runs also on transports. So you can even do like an analysis tool, which looks at the transport analysis and gives you some results, etc. So it's really integrated into all editors. So you can really use it everywhere. Okay, with that being said, I still want to, point out that what you just saw is a lab preview. Okay, so we are working really, really hard to get this out in your hands as soon as possible. But I can't tell you the release right now. Okay, so again, we are working right now on this, and obviously we also want to get it in your hands as soon as possible. But I can't give you a release right now. But yeah, so if you already have maybe a question, ideas, feel free to point them out, or feature requests even. Feel free to reach out to us. Yeah, but with that being said, I truly believe this will be very successful because it, like I said, it fills, I think, really a gap which we and our development tools community had for a long, long time. So I can't wait to get this into your hands and your feedback. Okay, so then let's summarize something. Lots of content. Hopefully you are still with me. And yeah, so first of all, the first thing we looked at is really the end-to-end development experience. So for us, we really hope that you see and you enjoy the new improved ABAP Cloud end-to-end development experience, especially if you are working on these ABAP Cloud systems where this is already available. Okay, then I strongly recommend to update to the latest ABAP Development Tools client and Eclipse release. Okay, and use the new features. And we really hope that you see the updated Eclipse look and feel, and you like it. Also, for example, there's more stuff coming regarding the Eclipse look and feel. For example, flat icons is also something we are looking into, and these kind of stuff. Okay, so this is just the first steps basically, and we are cleaning up stuff more and more, make it more modern. Okay. And then last but not least, get ready to extend the standard ABAP development tools with your own ideas, using the new ID action framework. And then if you combine that one, with the ABAP AI SDK, then you really have an extremely powerful combination. You can do some really cool stuff. And yeah, we can't wait. We really can't wait to see what the community is coming up with this one. So with that being said, thanks a lot. Thanks for listening. Thanks for sticking with us. Also, again, thank you for being such an amazing community and really helping us out with all your feedback. So if you have feedback, feel free to comment down below, on YouTube. Also, there's a QA tool, ask your questions, and also there's the event page. Feel free also to add any comments there, and then we will try to answer your questions and comments. And with that being said, yeah, thanks a lot, and see you in the next one. Bye.